What do you think accounted for the rapid appreciation of the Cedi against the dollar? Some think it was the gold prices and the fact that we had reserves of gold, which we were then we did a so-called gold for exchange program.
Yeah.
So gold for reserve, which was then being liquidated to back the currency. And because gold was doing so well, and people were uncertain about Trump, Ghana was the largest producer of gold on the continent. We were benefiting. Could the government take credit for the appreciation?
Yes.
They ought to.
But please don't forget, you see, when government is taking credit, remember one thing. What the Bank of Ghana is doing is not any unique thing. Most central banks around the world are moving from holding dollars to holding gold for their foreign exchange.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Reuters did a survey recently. I said about 95% of the central banks around the world rather now to buy gold rather than buy dollars. Right? And this is something that was started by the previous Bank of Ghana regime anyway.
Yes.
So, yes, they've done the right thing, but it's not like they reinvented the wheel. But going for gold rather than dollars is the right thing to do. Fiscal discipline, yes, it has had an effect. That one you must give it to this government because they've been fiscally more disciplined than the previous government.
Okay.
So that has had a very good effect. And don't forget, you see, a large part of this thing is based on confidence. When you feel you can get foreign exchange where you need it,
you won't hold it.
You won't hold it. So that when people criticize the Bank of Ghana for the interventions, I thought at least for that period, the interventions were useful, but not sustainable. All right? But they were useful to create confidence, not just to push the exchange rate down.
Okay.
But to create confidence so people would not resort to hoarding foreign exchange. On the basis that, okay, if I need it next week, I can buy it, I can get it to buy next week. You notice that the forward auctions that the Bank of Ghana has resumed, if you look at the rates for delivery some days down the line, are not much different from the spot market rates. Which means that the people who are now placing orders on the forward market don't expect a major change.
So are you saying that the figure we have now for the rate is more realistic?
Yes, it is. See, I was saying this thing, when the exchange rate went to 10 point something, what was the exchange rate on the
black market?
Informal market, the black market, even below the change and stuff.
It was like 12.
It was like 12. And you see, if you look at the experience from Nigeria, you know that eventually you have to merge the two rates.
So now that the spot and the futures are closer, you expect the black market and the formal, the BOG one to also get closer?
Yes. And I think that really reflects what the rate should be.
So the 13 could be the rate that we'll be working with. Joe, I'm on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just let me give you back of the envelope numbers.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure you recall we've all looked here at the purchasing power parity theory.
We've done that here before.
Yes. And we've looked at, which just says that this bottle of water, all things being equal, should cost the same thing as it does here and everywhere else in the world. And that the exchange rate will move to bring it into parity. And then we looked at the Big Mac. Remember?
Yes.
The economics has popularized the Big Mac's index. And the Big Mac is $5.30. The one we did this analysis must have been in July. $5.30. At that time it was $10.50. And the Big Mac in Ghana cost 87 cedis or more. In fact, our survey said it started around 80 cedis and ended up around 120 cedis. And so, therefore, a Big Mac was supposed to cost us about $8.30. Now, back of the envelope numbers say this differential between $5.30 for a Big Mac and $8.30 is too much. Even if you factor in the rigidities, the lack of infrastructure.
So that was July.
That was July. So
July last year.
No, July this year.
Okay.
So it was obvious that there were this 10.5 may be a difficult position to defend. And indeed, when you look at what happened, the central bank was intervening in the market. So long as the central bank was intervening, the rates were around 10, 11. Then the central bank announced that it won't intervene anymore. And as soon as it announced that it won't intervene, what happened? The rates shot up from 10, 11 to the 12 plus. But it is my opinion, and I'm sure a lot will, that the rate of 12 plus is a far more defensible position for the central bank than 10.5. And that the 10.5, even though it had a really feel-good factor and everybody became bullish, over time, because of how much the Cedi was overvalued, would have brought us challenges.
Was it right for the president to say, when the Cedi continues strengthening, that the band they expected was 10 to 12 to the dollar? Was it right for him to have done that?
It was an estimate. I may give a different estimate. And signaling, the right signaling helps the market. Even when you think about it, the central bank didn't just quietly and nicodemuously stop intervening. It actually told us, I am going to stop intervening. So a lot of us knew that the rate was going to take, none of us was surprised when the rate took a hike. Because the central bank had stopped intervening. Very simple. The central bank intervenes to increase the supply from our reserves. And when it said, I can't do this anymore, it was natural that there will be an increase in the rates. I think now that this current rate can be maintained and can be defended, right? And remember, it wasn't only the World Bank, IMF, said the same thing to the central bank, that this rate is a bit too low, right? What we forget was that even as importers were rejoicing, the cocoa sector was taking a hit. And in fact, when you think about it, the reason why the increment in the cocoa producer price did not cause as much of an appreciation from the farmers was that they felt, this is too low. But it was too low because the dollar had fallen. So even though the producer price went up in dollar terms, right, the actual change was minimal. Because when the last producer price was fixed, the dollar was around 15. This time, it was around 10.
We'll take a